Bonsoir. Bonsoir et bienvenue. I am Karine Malocena, Director of Special Events at the French Institute Alliance Française in New York. It is my pleasure to welcome you tonight on Zoom and Facebook for our first virtual wine tasting. We are lucky tonight to hear from Xavier Flouret, founder of Xavier Flouret Wines, and Hortense Bernard, General Manager at Millesima. This event kicks off FIAF's Members Month and our French Food and Wine Week. Xavier and Hortense curated a very special selection of wines for you, including a red, a white, and a rosé. Many of you have been able to order this wine through Millesima in advance of the tasting, but don't worry if you didn't. We have planned this tasting so you can enjoy it with any glass of wine. And you will be able to buy the wines after this event if you want to. The tasting will start in a few minutes. In the meantime, a poll should appear on your screen, and we would love to know where you are listening from and your favorite type of wine. Please feel free to ask any questions during the tasting on the Q&A section on Zoom and in the comments if you are watching us on Facebook Live. Merci à tous and enjoy.
Hi, hello, welcome everybody. It's really a pleasure to be with everybody tonight. And thank you at FIAF for organizing all of that. It's such a great idea to do a wine live tasting. And I think that, you know, with all those time right now, it's so great to have a company like that, like the FIAF, that is capable of bringing event and bringing a lot of joy to everybody that we kind of need right now. So thank you, FIAF. Thank you for all you're doing. So we're here tonight with Xavier. We're going to have a lot of fun with all those wines. We're going to tell you a little bit more about us, and then after we're going to enjoy the wine. Just that everybody know on the poll, most people are in New York. That's great. And everybody loves red. The most, 64%. That's a big number. Thank you for voting. So to Xavier, I will introduce myself and then I will give you the discussion. So myself, I'm Hortense Bernard, and I'm born and raised in Bordeaux in a family that has been always in wine and spirits for 4 generations. I am in the US for 10 years with Millesima. Millesima has been created by my father just after my birth. It's like my little sister. And we have been developing fine wine to bring directly to the customer. In New York, we opened in 2006 in New York, and we are a retailer. So we have a store in the Upper East Side on 72nd and 2nd. And we've done a lot of events in the wine with the FIAF. And I may have met a lot of you over there, hopefully. And we will certainly do new events at the FIAF when it will be reopened, and we'll be able to share direct moments all together. Tonight, we have selected with Xavier those wines because Xavier and I have a really great relationship. As Millesima, we carry a lot of his wines. His company is as much as old as Millesima USA. It started just after, and we do think that his wines are amazing, but I let him explain exactly everything he does.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm so happy to be among all of you. I wanted as well to thank FIAF, which is such an engaging, dynamic, cultural organization, and also Hortense at Millesima, which is a fantastic retailer that has and keeps on developing, quite a diverse and exhaustive selection. But to present myself briefly, I'm myself from France, easy guess with my accent. I'm from the Southwest. I've been raised and exposed to the world of wines as far or as long as I can remember. And having come here now for quite some time, we decided to start this venture around 2007, 2008. And it has been very well received. It's a line of wine that, you know, really, the idea is to have the best expression of wine, showing, you know, great varieties, terroir, and appellation. Because like all of us, I think wine has the power to bring all of us or people together and channel our passions. So,
yeah.
You know, I think we can all agree to that one.
Oh, yes.
No, because you know, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to conviviality, hospitality, and curiosity. If, again, you know, we all here, it's because we are curious. We want to learn more about wine, where wine has the power to make us explore, discover, taste. So, and that's it.
Yeah, and if anyone has a question at any time, please just send your questions to the Q&A part, and we'll be happy to answer them at the same time. I will just like take the question and ask them to Xavier, and then that way we can have like a discussions. And because we're here tonight to have a good time with the wine, but also to answer any questions and to help you learn anything. Xavier, tell me, what did bring you in the world of wine?
Wine is a passion to me. I think also wine is the perfect way to bring authenticity. We all can remember a specific wine that we had for a special occasion. It can be an anniversary, a birthday, or wedding. As I said, it has that power to bring people together again. And so the idea is to really to simplify the process, to really give a chance for wine lovers, wine connoisseurs, and for those who are willing to learn more, as I was saying earlier, to explore the world. It's all about that typicity and authenticity. And the idea behind this line of wine is through a very recognizable label. It's all about what is inside the bottle, basically. And to really simplify the process. We all are open-minded, well-traveled, sophisticated, and sometimes wines can be intimidated to a lot of people. And that's why, you know, having, you know, this idea of bringing wines truly representative to specific region or appellation to us, to our table, that was really what motivated me to do so.
And is that why you created your own brand? Like, why did you come up with that idea of coming with that range? Because right now we're tasting 3 tonight, but you had a lot different wines with that X that is really recognizable in store and that people like trust when they see it.
That is true, and thank you. Yeah, there are 12 wines overall in that range, and we keep on getting good, you know, comments and positive, you know, reaction and ratings from wine critics, sommeliers, wine lovers, and you know, the X is very easy. My first name being Xavier, it's like X marked the spot. I didn't brainstorm too much, but no. It's really, it's like wine that I fall in love with. Most of them, I would say a good 70% are from France, not only because now wines are being produced in almost everywhere in the world, and wines are getting better and better. I think also people are more and more demanding. Quality is key, obviously. We're all also more aware of health, or we are more health conscious. So techniques have improved. But going back to those regions, tonight we have 3 examples. We have one wine from Provence, a rosé. We have also another wine from the Loire Valley, a Sancerre. And the last one, we try to be a little bit further, or to go a little bit further in South Africa. So it's what we call a border blend or cap, a Cabernet.
Xavier, a lot of people are asking what to pair them tonight for the tasting. So do you have a few suggestions that they could do tonight?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, wine is to be enjoyed the way you like. It can be for a simple, what we call in French, apéritif, but also it's great with meals, obviously. And to your question, you know, if we taste the rosé, I don't know if you have your, you know, bottles open, so do I. I'm sure you'll appreciate the beautiful color of this rosé, which is from Provence. I want to say that rosé is not gimmicky. Rosé happens to be a real wine. You know, Provence is the birthplace of all rosé. I see pictures. Yes, so it comes from an amazing estate. You can see on the map, it's French Riviera of Provence is from the southeastern part of France. You know, it is actually the oldest, Provence is the oldest wine region in France. And rosé is the oldest wine or known wine as well from France. We have to understand that 1 in 3 bottles being purchased these days happen to be from Provence. So as you can see, this one, you have a beautiful pink, pale color. The nose is very fruity, is very crisp and clean. You have those beautiful notes of peach, strawberry, apricot. And the pairing actually is very playful. It can be anything from a simple salad, fish, seafood. You know, you do the right thing right now. You take a white piece of paper in order to appreciate the color of the wine. I don't know if our viewers can see what you just done. I think that's the right way to do it. You want to tell them why you do that, or?
Yeah, I always have something white. Look, sometimes when you have a white tablecloth, it's so much easier. But when you want to really see the color of the body of the wine, it's so much easier to have a white background to really see the exact color. You can't really do it on a dark or a colorful place. So you really need something white. But to jump on what you were saying, when I saw the map and I see and smell the rosé, I'm just like, I want to go to Provence. I want to go there. I know we can't travel, but I definitely so much want. All those places around it, but the sunshine is all year round in France, and that's why we come with those type of rosé. And rosé, Provence is the only place that really do rosé to do rosé. Rosé is like so emblematic there.
No, it's the birthplace, and they've been producing it for over 2,000 years. Rosé actually represent 89% of the wines being produced in Provence. And rosé has become very trendy over the past few years. Over the past, I would say, 25 years, the consumption has tripled, and quality has been, just getting better and better and better. Chateau des Demoiselles, where we source this particular rosé, is owned by Aurélie Bertin, that you know quite well too. They also own another estate, Chateau Saint-Rose, which is a cru classé, one of the only 18 cru classé out of quite a few, wineries over there. But rosé is simply splendid, and beside the trend, rosé have really become, a part of life. It is pretty.
I just started to try it. Please try it. Enjoy. We're going to see a few pictures of the winery as well, because as you say, it's over there. It's like so beautiful, and Aurélie does so well. And can you explain us a little bit more about the classification on the rosé? You just spoke about it. Maybe it's something interesting to know that there is a classification with rosé.
Yes, absolutely. It's a classification like, that we have in France what we call AOC, Appellation d'origine contrôlée. It started in 1936. The rosé appellation, if I'm not mistaken, is from 1977. And, they really, selected, those estates truly representative of the best, quality. And as I said, you have now quite a few estates and caves in Provence, but only 18 of them are cru classés. And Aurélie owns one of them, Chateau Demoiselles, which used to be the property of the Grimaldi family, which is the famille princière de Monaco, was the previous owner of the Chateau des Demoiselles.
Xavier, we have an interesting question on the chat is,
okay.
What do the different shades of rosé tell us about wine, which come back to what we were just saying about how to make the rosé. So if you want to...
There are different ways to make rosé. You've got what we call the skin contact, of course, because what people don't realize is rosé, is basically made with red grapes in order to get that result. So the maceration, basically the soaking is a bit, different. And then, several steps are involved in it, but it's either, the juice or basically the skin contact in order to get that particular rosé, for instance.
And somebody's asking me if you're in France.
I wish. No. I'm actually in my kitchen, where I've been spending. It has become our most popular or favorite new room. A lot of time spent here this past 6 weeks. Through animated conversation, I would say. But no, I'm not in France. And not going anytime soon, unfortunately. But if tonight, we allow you to travel a bit, going from France to South Africa, that's already, a good thing.
Yeah, we're doing a nice travel tonight. Definitely having fun. I have another one that is pretty interesting, which is, can you tell us about the differences between the barrels in the aging process? Have there been a change from oak to steel over the years? Which I think is a really good one for Provence.
Yeah. For instance, this particular rosé is stainless steel only. It's not exposed to barrel whatsoever. That's why you've got this great freshness. It's very supple, it's very clean, it's very lively. And, so no exposure whatsoever to oak. Same thing with our next wine being from Loire. So if you like Sauvignon Blanc, you obviously like Sancerre. Sancerre is what we call a monocépage, a single variety or grape variety, I would say. And again, the next wine, the Sancerre, is not exposed to barrel stainless steel only.
And I will say that wine that are made to be drink young are almost always stainless steel, and then barrels and oak are more for like aging, and it depends also on the grapes. It depends on the region. Everybody has this kind of typology.
Yeah. No, it's true. Absolutely. The last one we will have from South Africa, does age quite a long time in the oak barrel, around 20 months actually in the larger kind of barrels. So this one, as I say, is being a 2013, it shows that the wine has leg, as we say, and can last for quite some time.
Yeah. I have another question, and people are asking, the classification, is it written on the label? Is it a classification that is kind of official? I can reply to that one. It is written on the labels. The classification are, and as there is not many, you really see it. And it's also mean when you are in the classification is that you have your own grapes. You don't source from outside. It's only from your estates. So sometimes you will see that the top de cuvée of the rosé will be in the classification, and then the more everyday one, because it's sourcing grapes from outside, will not be in the classification. So you also have like a different part from the same producers according to which cuvée you are speaking about. That's really common. Yeah.
No. And also this going back, the first wine and the last one are what we call blend again. So it's a mix and association of different grape varieties. And that's the nice work of the winemaker. For the rosé, we're talking about, Marco. And then it's Sébastien for the Sancerre and Meyer for the Bordeaux blend. So the rosé is made of, you've got, sorry.
You're answering the question that I was going to ask you, because a lot of people are asking, so go for it. That's perfect.
We have some Cinsault, Grenache, Mourvèdre, and Carignan, which are typical grapes from this southeastern part of France. Not only, but originated from this area.
And I will say that in the store, so at Millesima store, we do carry that rosé all year round, and it has been for many years one of our top sellers, always number 1 or number 2. And that says a lot about it when you compare it to big brands that are more famous, more marketing oriented. And I think the rosé has a really good balance between the acidity, the fruit, so the freshness. It's a good balance, and I personally don't like my rosé when they're too acidic, and I don't like them when there is no acidity, so no freshness. So finding the balance is not always easy. And I think that's what people have to look for is, am I interested in something that is really fresh and really acidic, or something that is more towards the fruit?
And I think
Yeah.
you bring a very good point. As a wine importer and a wine curator, we only and strictly work with privately owned boutique wineries. And that does make a big, big difference. It's state-of-the-art wineries. The passion is obviously there, the hard work. It's not volume-oriented. And I think that's what people want. That's really authentic character.
Before we move on, because I mean we need to move on to the next wine. On rosé, I think it's also important to know that there is a moment for each rosé. There is the rosé that are more meant for sipping around the pool or on the boat or in a park, and it's more about sipping and eating finger food. And then there is more rosé that are more like for the tables, when you have a good moment, you have a nice salad and you are with your family at lunch and you want something to drink. Rosé can be really well appropriate for that. And I think there is a rosé for each occasions, and according to what you're looking for, you may look for different grapes or different types, or darker rosé or lighter rosé, but they all have different purpose. The National 7 is a little bit more versatile, I will say, Xavier.
It kills two birds. It can cover both, purposes. Absolutely. Also, the name National 7, there's a reason behind it. It's the famous road that started in 1936 when, holidays became, I wouldn't say official, but in France, it's the famous road from Paris to the French Riviera. It still exists. Highway to cover, obviously, but it's absolutely charming. Movies have been made there, songs. So it was a nice, what we call clin d'œil, as a reference to this famous country road going to that very, countryside, as beautiful as the French Riviera.
Fabulous. Speaking of which, I think it will bring a good transitions to go to our white and to the Sancerre. And we can see the map, so we can see where we're going. Where are we traveling to now?
Loire is known as the Garden of France. As you can see on the map, the Loire is the longest river in France. It goes from the Atlantic Ocean to basically, the middle east part of France. You have roughly 87 wine appellations, which is a lot. And the region is the broadest in terms of, kilometers or miles. In terms of production, that's basically Loire wines represent 2/3 of what Bordeaux production is. But there's so many good appellations, as you can see on the map here. And we selected an appellation that has become very, very popular over the past few years, is Sancerre. I'm myself a big fan of Sancerre. We work with Sébastien at Domaine La Gémière, which is, as I was saying, a family property. And you can see that beautiful, beautiful landscape. Sancerre is about roughly, I would say, 2 hours south of Paris. That gives you an idea. And it's made strictly of Sauvignon Blanc for white Sancerre, because red Sancerre does exist. It's Pinot Noir. But tonight, having chosen this white wine as a Sancerre, you can see, the hill. It's kind of a cool climate. But I love this particular Sancerre because of its richness. It's a wine that has a beautiful weight, lovely volume. It's very supple. The acidity is extraordinary. You've got this nice citrus, not grapefruity, but this nice citrus. Because often white wine can be disjointed, either too acidic or too mineral. And this wine actually is just like perfect balance. And again, by smelling it, you really have a sense, of the soil as well. It's that's winter time.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate the French blonde. So our customers, I mean, on all the wines we have here, we have carried those two for quite a long time, and they are both really famous among our customers. It's a really go-to, and I think Sancerre is like the favorite in the US, or maybe it's just New York, I don't know, but at least in New York it's like the favorite for many customers.
I think it's
Really
everywhere.
one.
I think pretty much everyone does like a good Sancerre.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. And we're talking about a tiny production. Again, as I was saying, we are the opposite of mass production, and we only bring I would say 1,500 cases roughly on a yearly basis in the country. So it's all about again the best expression of the terroir, the soil, of what this NAS appellation is all about.
Yeah.
It's very crisp, very clean.
It is. And the funny part that I think about Sancerre that always like a surprise, I will say that when I arrived in New York, it was so hard for me when people was asking me for like a Chardonnay, a Pinot Noir, or a grape varietal, because as French person, I don't know my grapes. I know my region. I know where the wine come from, how it tastes like, but the grapes, we're not that used to it.
No.
And so Sancerre is one of the few regions like Champagne that is a regions and a wine tip, and people referring to Sancerre as what they're looking for, and they don't really care or know about the grapes. So people will think that Sancerre almost is a grape, as it's so famous.
And Sancerre is from Sancerre, but it's Sauvignon Blanc. No. Different, and that's again the beauty of wine. You've got several, countries producing Sauvignon Blanc, but there's only one Sancerre.
So I have a few comments. So people think like are really interesting with that Sancerre, and somebody say it makes me think of oysters. I agree, and there's so much one oyster right now. So
perfect pairing. It goes hand in hand. That's absolutely perfect.
And somebody say, how do you fall along the natural wine debate? Which, nowadays everybody's speaking about naturals, which for me, naturals doesn't have a real role at the moment, which make it difficult.
Sure. So this one is sustainable. So we use the minimum the minimum chemicals. There's pretty much nothing added to it. So it's what we call sustainable. There's a little bit of sulfites that is added just for the transportation in order to preserve the quality of the wine. But if I may interrupt you one second, actually, it's 7 p.m. I know we're all tasting, but I think for all of us that are, in the spirit of wine, we should cheer and toast those, first responders, nurses, doctors, grocery cashiers, retailers like yourself that are in the front line every day, making our life actually going. So cheers to you, Hortense, being, a retailer, and to everyone, making us, travel through that, navigate through that crisis. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, actually, I can hear people outside now. But yes, I said earlier that more and more people are aware. I think we're all aware and conscious of our health. So we all look for wines or food that's organic or biodynamic. More and more wines are, it's very hard to get a certification. And each region has its own specificities, or each country, I would say, has its own specificities. But all those three wines are, again, all sustainable. Some of them are technically organic, but some producers refuse that certification because it would require to add copper, and they think copper is actually bad for the soil and toxic for the next generation, for the water supplies. So sometimes sustainable wine are actually better for us than certified organic, even though the more natural it is, the better it is for us, I would say.
Yeah, and I will say that more and more producer and most of producers are really like in France, changing and looking at as much as they can. It might not be organic, biodynamic, and everything, but they are doing as much as they can to get there. I have a question. We say, what's the difference between natural and biodynamic? So a biodynamic wine technically is naturals, but naturals is like another word that doesn't have a certification that a lot of wines fall into that are the certification, but not all of them. But it could be a debate all night about which one is a natural or which one is not.
And even producers disagree between themselves about it. You know, some of them is based on the moon, ancient methods. People start using amphoras. So there's really, there have been articles and articles, reports about it. They all have their own reasons behind it. But at the end of the day, as I was saying, wines are getting better and better and better. So that's good.
So there is also a few other questions. I say people just asking if we see change in the wine quality and aromas with the weather changing.
I would say yes. And the fact that other regions are benefiting from it. If you think, for instance, Alsace is producing amazing Pinot Noir, even though the maker of Pinot Noir is Burgundy for a lot of us. But the weather has been very nice to other areas. We see more and more sparkling wines being produced in England. Champagne being champagne, as you said, but there is a competition now. So who knows what will happen in the next decades about it. But Mother Nature has been pretty rough on the other region. I mean, about 1 week ago, 10 days ago, you had hail in your area in Bordeaux, in the right bank, in the Saint-Emilion. The Provence and parts of Burgundy last year had extreme weather as well. So it does impact the wine. Definitely the harvest, and then indirectly, the quality of the wine, obviously.
And a lot of people are also asking about, how to serve the wines and everything, when to open in advance and how long it can stay in the fridge, or can we drink white to red and then go back to white because it's kind of like famous in France, you can't do that. What is your opinion?
Whatever pleases you. No, more seriously, it all depends, I would say, of the food pairing or your mood of the day. Or as you say, if you're by the pool, you may just want maybe to sip a nice fresh rosé. I technically like to start with a white one and then move on to reds, but that's me. Everyone can be different and is entitled to be different. Glassware for me is also very, very important. Smaller glass for white wine and bigger glasses for red wines. But no, I think it depends on what you're eating. Again, I like to start with white wines, but what do you prefer, Hortense?
I prefer to start with champagne and then white and then red and then Sauternes.
Not cognac.
Yeah, cognac as well. That's after the dinner.
Okay.
But no, yeah, I do agree with that. Say that it's hard to go back to white after red, but it does happen to me to do it sometimes.
With cheese.
If, for example, definitely, if there is a certain type of cheese, I will go back to my white. But what about when to open them? In advance, not in advance?
I like my wine a bit cooler, or on the cool side. Being in New York, it's sometimes very hard. Space is a big issue. So not everyone has a cellar. Not everyone has a temperature control cellar at home. So fridge is often the safe haven. So you can leave your white and rosé in the fridge and maybe open it 10-15 minutes before, because you don't want your wines to be too chilled either. It can hide the real aromas or flavors of the wine. And I do like my red to be slightly chilled as well. Not only room temperature, but slightly chilled.
But that's because you live in New York. And let's move on to the red. That's a good way. But I feel like I'm becoming the same. But because we are in New York and it's pretty warm in New York, then you kind of need that freshness to it. So let's talk about Ukamata and where it's come from. So like we're big travel right now.
Yeah, Ukamata comes from South Africa. Come from the bottom of this beautiful continent of Africa. It's in the Cape region, by the Chateau region, next to actually the Wellington Valley. This nice Bordeaux blend, meaning it's a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Cabernet Franc.
I know that blend.
Yes, indeed, you grew up there. No, but it has some French origin because from the Huguenots, this estate was created in 1710, so quite some time ago. And Ukamata means a supreme being in local dialect. And what I personally like about this wine, why I chose it, is because it's so velvety and silky. You have those beautiful notes of dark berries, that touch of leather, and that smokiness. And it's not Bordeaux, don't get me wrong. I know you're very, that's where you're from. Again, I'm not that far, I'm only an hour and a half away. We have a lot of anecdotes and stories. But it's a beautiful Bordeaux kind of wines. And and South Africa, for those that had the chance to go there, and if you have not, please try to when it's possible. It's really spectacular. It's not only the people are warm and welcoming, but they're really eager to expose you and share their culture. And talking about again expression of the terroir, that Bordeaux blend, it's very unique. And for pairing, everything is rack of lamb or tomato sauce, pasta, pretty much any kind of meat. I don't know. I just Sorry, go ahead.
But no salad. No? Salad is the worst with red wine. The dressing of the salad is killing any of the aromas.
That's true. No, but it's a wine that's very rich and powerful. It's a very generous wine. It has, as we say, some shoulders. It's very raw. It's very robust. It's not body built. It's not punchy either. It's elegant. And
people are asking if it should be opened 10 minutes before.
Maybe slightly more. I would say a good half hour. Half hour might be perfect to let it breathe and reveal itself to open up.
And one tips that I often give to my customer is that when you open a bottle, if you pour a little bit, just to make sure it's not cork or anything like that, then
I check all wines tonight, even though there's no way for you to do it.
and then you have a little bit more of oxygen in your bottle.
True.
And then you can let it breathe for half an hour or something, but it has a little bit wine out of the bottle, so it brings more air to it and it helps to aerate a little bit faster.
So now that I like to believe, tasted all three wines, it would be very interesting to know which one you prefer, obviously, and what's your mood tonight.
Yeah. And I have a few questions here. It's interesting to listen. I'm sorry, I may not be able to answer all the questions, but the person asking if where was it? How long is the wine good for when you open it? So.
But this one is from 2013, so 7 years ago, and you can easily see this wine lasting to get to its best, expression, another probably 3 years. So, 10 years, definitely. Sorry.
Some people are asking how they can for the 3 bottles they're going to open tonight, how are they going to be able to keep it for 3 days, because it's a lot of wine. In general, I will say just invite friends, but it's not possible at the moment.
No moderation tonight? No. I'm not suggesting that. It's a joke. the white and the rosé, the Sancerre and the Rosé de Provence, you can definitely put them back in the fridge. If you open the red, I would suggest to maybe, I wouldn't say finish the wine or the bottle tonight, but to enjoy as much as possible. It probably can last 1 to 2 days, the red.
At least 2 days. The thing is, if you pour only a little bit for the tasting and you close it, then it's still like, pretty full in the bottle. So you can definitely keep it for 2 days. And then you enjoy the rosé tonight and the white tomorrow and then the red the next day.
I was actually nicely surprised not long ago with a statistic that most consumers in the United States, over 90% drink the wine within the first 24 hours.
I agree with that part. And yes, vacuum cork are helping to keep it longer. If you vacuum it and take the air out.
Yes, that.
Easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And other people are asking also what the opinion between synthetic corks versus natural wine, the natural cork or the synthetic cork.
Yeah, I mean, all those cork are natural. There's nothing synthetic about it. There have been also some improvements now because you have roughly around 10% of wine can be corked or used to be corked, and technologies have improved. Those corks are more expensive, but guarantee wine not to be corked. And I think it's a big deal. It makes a big difference for all of us, either on the production side or as wine lovers. So now it's more and more rare to have corked wines. But I'm not a big fan personally of synthetic cork, but it's a personal thing. Maybe I'm very traditional. But natural cork, I think allow also the wine to breathe and to reveal itself and to age properly.
So we have a customer asking a question, and it's a customer that invited, I say customer because I'm to use as a retail site, but we invited a lot of people tonight, and he's asking about comment on why the body of this red feel less solid than other red wines, like for example, Rioja and things like that.
As I was saying, this wine is, even though it spent 20 months in what we call food or large barrels, it's not overexposed to wood. So maybe it's not so body built, as I like to call it. It doesn't have so much this vanilla aromas. For me, this one is not engineered. It's the best expression, again, of the terroir, what this region can offer. The vinification process is very important. The aging process is very important. But it doesn't have, because if you take a Rioja, for instance, a Rioja Reserva have to spend 4 years in old barrels and American oaks. This one is from French oaks also. So that's why it's not so heavy. I like Rioja, don't get me wrong. We also have a Rioja within our line of wines. But that maybe answers this person's question. That's why this one is very different than Rioja. First of all, it's not the same grape variety. Rioja being made of Tempranillo. This one is a Bordeaux blend, again, Cabernet, Cabernet Franc, and Merlot. And the wood barrel, or wooden barrel, sorry, being used is totally different as well.
One of the last questions, maybe because before we wrap up, because we not want to take like all your time tonight. Thank you for all your great comments as well. Someone asked about the pinotage and why pinotage is like so linked to the French and why it's so important in South Africa, and why you choose, for example, the Cabernet versus the pinotage.
I'm not a big fan of pinotage. No, but that's the beauty of with this line of wine. I happen to choose the wine I like, and the wine I want to share, the one I want, consumers and wine lovers to enjoy. Pinotage is probably the best known, wine or appellation out of South Africa. So it would actually been easier to find a good pinotage because you have some good pinotage. But I always like to go outside the beats and path as well, and to dig and find wine that are truly representative. And I think this Cabernet offers way more. But again, it's just a personal point of view.
And just to let you know that on the chat, people are singing the same way as I think. It's like your wines are great. They are all fabulous, great expressions.
You have great palates.
You choose them perfectly. And honestly, in that price range, they're like extraordinary value. And yes, the Yucamata tastes like old world wine, sorry, not a new world. And it's also because I think of the grapes and the blends that is really like Bordeaux, and they're doing a lot of things like that, and they're not using that vanilla oak, they're using the Bordeaux oak, and I think that makes a big difference, as you said.
It's part of the fun. You don't have to break the bank, as we say, to have beautiful wines. Wine should still be affordable because it's all about pleasure. And you know, we love wine because it's about spending quality time, it's about sharing, it's about enjoying. We're all foodies here. At least I am, but I'm sure all of us are. And you know, again, you don't have to spend a fortune. Yes, you have some beautiful wine that are quite expensive, and other wine that are, you know, real treasures and still affordable. That's also one of our mission, is to bring this type of wines to you.
Yeah. And it's a hard one.
Yeah, but look at your
good
selection.
One. So before we ask you a little bit of a poll, we do like those polls and get your opinions on things. I just wanted to, somebody asked questions about discounts. Of course, all those wines have a special FIAF discount for all of you with a 10% discount. The FIAF will tell you everything, send you the link that you can like make sure you have the stock to be able to go over that lockdown times we have right now, no problems. So let's see what you think about the wines and what you would like to see on next events with us at the FIAF, and see what you prefer. And yes, we can ship everywhere almost. And Georgia is not an issue at all. Temperature setting for your fridge, the easiest is just send us an email and we'll make sure to answer your questions on that separately. That will be easier because that's a long topic.
No, but I wanted to thank you all. It was actually, I really enjoyed my time. I think it was a very nice way to spend my Friday evening. And again, FIAF does rock. And check out Millesima. They have a fantastic selection. Again, thank you for allowing us to be a part of it.
So it's pretty average. People are like in between all the wines and they love them all. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you so much, everybody, thanking the FIAF. And honestly, you have all our support because it's a tough time and we'll be here to support the FIAF anytime.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Un grand merci to Xavier and Hortense. We had indeed a very nice wine journey tonight. Thank you. We could talk about wines all night with you. And now we want even more to travel. Thank you,
Xavier. I can see you open the red wine.
Thank you to all attendees and members for joining us. You will receive an email, as Hortense said, tomorrow with a link to order the wine if you want, with the special offer for FIAF's community. Thank you to Hortense and Xavier for that. Please note that FIAF is presenting a reading of Molière's Le Misanthrope tomorrow at 7 p.m. in partnership with Molière in the park. And next week, our French Food and Wine Week continues, featuring talks with Dominique Ancel, Elisabeth Holder from La Durée with Florence Fabricant, and a cooking class with Ariane Daguin, founder of D'Artagnan. If you enjoy our events, and if you are able to, please consider making a donation to FIAF or to join FIAF as a member. Your gift will directly support our online programs, artists, teachers, and staff. So just visit fiaf.org. I thank you all. Hortense and Xavier, merci encore. Stay safe and have a nice weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Au revoir.